Hi, welcome to Political News in 5. This is the analysis of what happened in the world of politics last week, starting February 18th, 2018. Now, I'm finding the story about APC and Tinubu's quest to bring all the warring factions together and make peace a quite interesting one. Not only because it's going to take him a lot of time to do that, considering how many APC factions there are right now across different states, but also because he is even already having internal issues with the chairman of the party, Oyegun. There's stories about the letter that he wrote him accusing the chairman of interfering and making his work trying to bring the factions together even harder. But for me, it's a real genius for whoever thought about this idea of giving Tinubu this job, because if Tinubu was planning to disrupt the 2019 elections in any way, this kind of task will be taking his brain matter out of the game. So it'll be interesting to see how Tinubu succeeds and what happens in 2019, especially because there's a sense from a few quarters that Tinubu has been hard done by this administration, and there are some predictions that he won't be supporting this administration. But of course, he can't show his hand. So let's see how it goes. The results will tell us. APC Kaduna is hot right now. There is the house of one of the senators who has openly opposed the sitting governor and vowed to make it impossible for him to return in 2019, had his home or office, we're not sure, bulldozed, like literally demolished to the ground. And so there's lots of chatter, lots of complaints, lots of fears that this is an example of what power-hungry governors will do if they had state police under their control. God save us from power-hungry men. Now, another thing that was interesting was apparently PMB wants more time to decide whether he wants to run or not. That I found quite amusing, considering that there's been lots of calls. All the APC governors have declared for him and called on him to save Nigeria or continue saving Nigeria, depending on how you want to look at it. But it seems clear that the man hasn't made up his mind, and so it makes you wonder the announcement a few weeks ago about the person who was going to run his campaign, lead his campaign, the other person who was going to lead the campaign in the Southwest. What's all that about? Maybe these are people just trying to force the president's hand. Maybe he really hasn't made up his mind. At the same time, we're also hearing lots of stories about people who might replace Buhari with his blessings. If he decides not to run, apparently there are like at least 3 people that we can expect that he might anoint to take his place as president. Somebody who's been in government for all his life and has wanted to run, that's one hint. The other person who's a polo plane pilot, that's another person. And then the third one is a prince who's involved in water. So apparently those are the 3 people who might replace Buhari on the APC ticket with his blessing if he decides not to run. Again, let's wait and see. Then there's the tragic news of Dapchi girls and the sad politics of blame and shirking of responsibility. It's really, really appalling that at this time where obviously the girls' families will be grieving, the girls will be scared, terrified of what their lives are going to be, government is playing the same politics that has always played. The same things we heard during the JEG era, it's the same things we're hearing now during the PMB era. Oh, no girls were taken. Oh, yes, they were taken. Then they were returned. Not all of them were returned. We don't know how many were returned. I mean, come on. And then the same thing, oh, this is the work of the enemies. I mean, come on, Nigeria. Do we not learn any lessons? And when we even learn the lessons, do we not do anything with these lessons? What happened to the Safe Schools initiative? We really pray for the safe return for these girls. And we really hope that the army will be able to do something to get them back. And then Imo State as well is heating up. Again, internal, again between the APC faction, the chief of staff, who happens to be Rocha's son-in-law, and the deputy governor their supporters have been in a fight. Again, you can read the tea leaves and see that these are 2 people who want to replace Rochas in 2019. And so this war between them is about supremacy. Again, you think Operation Weti during the 60s, and now people are still killing themselves in 2018. Do we not learn anything, and will our politics ever stop being violent? I think that's it for me from the week Political News in 5. a few things that were interesting. And if you haven't seen the video of me and Oke Bakassi in the other news, please check it out on YouTube. It's hilarious, it's funny, and it's a lot longer than this 5 minutes, and you'll hear a lot more about politics as well. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned and have a great week ahead.